Can I get roll call, please?
Chairperson Gamblin,
Present.
Gundelsberger,
Here.
Matthews,
Here.
Johnson,
Here.
Warner, Shara,
Here.
Mazunga. Here.
Okay. And you'll be swearing in?
Because this is an adjudication hearing, all members and parties wishing to give testimony and agree to tell the truth, the whole truth, raise your right hand and say, "I do." I do. You're all sworn in.
Okay, we'll have approval of the previous minutes from May 30th.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of May 30th.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No opposed? Okay. Old business.
Dana, before we get into this, I had something scheduled every month on this agenda, but it's not coming up on the agenda under old business. And it's in regards to, I believe it was 520 Jefferson Street that we have under variance. And the variance claims that the inspector's supposed to make a report to us. And we talked about this 2 meetings ago, and the inspector's supposed to have some inside pictures for us. So I'd like to have a report on that before we get started.
Okay. You said 520 East Jefferson?
I think it's 520 East Jefferson, the variance one that we have.
Kreisner, Charles Kreisner.
Okay.
Do I have the correct address?
I believe so.
Okay.
Is it 520 or 524? Either way,
520.
the chief building official.
Can you put your mic down?
Oh, yeah,
and
no
speak up?
problem. The chief building official sent an email, and I think you received that email in regards to that property, the state of that property, the condition of it, the property itself. At his next report, excuse me, that property will be below 50%.
At the next meeting, it'll be 50%?
It should be under 50%, which would then take it off of the board's agenda.
Okay, so we don't have to do anything further on that, really?
No, once the property goes below 50% deterioration, then it becomes, basically, there is no issue as far as the board is concerned.
Okay, so that's been taken off our agenda then?
Yes.
Thank you for making that clear.
No problem.
Okay, thank you. Back to the old business.
We're recalling case number 2021-0405. April Riffle appealed the notice and order of demolition of 809 Hancock Street, Sandusky, Ohio, parcel number 57-03140.000.
Hi, I'm Angela Kasopoulos, Code Compliance Officer. I was supposed to have a return for Ms. Riffle, 809 Hancock today. You had given them an extension of 6 months. That has a new owner, and the process has started over again. So we're recalling the appeal.
So, and then basically from the date of receipt of the demo order, they have 10 days to appeal, and that 10 days expires today at close of business.
And you said the property has been bought by someone else?
It was actually transferred to her mother's name,
Okay.
or a quick claim deed.
So what's the extension then they have, the time?
So you have 10 days from the date of receipt of the demo order that was mailed out certified, and we get the green card back. So we have the date that it was received by the new property owner, and they have 10 days from the date of receipt to file an appeal with our office, which would then come before the board. And by the close of business today, which is 4 o'clock, we have not received that appeal. So the demo will go forward.
Now, let me get this straight. The mother bought it, but the demo is still going forward?
So the process starts all over again. So we have to
Right.
notify them that there is a demo order. They have 10 days from the date of receipt to file an appeal of that demo order. Just like you would normally have come before you, the appeal was filed by Ms. Riffle. The appeal has not been filed by her mother. So if there's no appeal, then the demo moves forward.
Okay.
Does she understand that? Because I see she's not even
Explained in
here.
the letter, I mean, there's a lien search done, a new search warrant was conducted for a new percentage, and she was given her own letter advising that we were going to demolish it. And she has, in that letter, the 10 days.
Yeah, but you said the 10 days is up. Isn't that what you
As
said?
today.
It'll be.
Yes.
Today. Okay.
From when she
Okay.
received it. She received it June 17th, so today's the 27th.
Okay, so she can't come back to us after this day?
No.
It's coming down?
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
Is there anything that we need to do or vote on?
Nothing from the board.
Nope.
All right. Old business? Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Angie. Old business, next we calling?
We're recalling case number 2023-0491, Mr. Joseph Urban, update on repairs at 1402 Clinton Street, Sandusky, parcel number 58-01319-000.
Good evening, Ron Snyder, Code Compliance Officer, concerning the said property. The board had asked for this gentleman here to come back this week, or for this meeting. I just want the board to know he has completed the last two tasks. He had that done before today. So he basically complied with what the board had asked of him to do. So the last two remaining items that were on the write-up have been abated. And so that case has been closed out. So.
Good. Okay.
And so because he complied with this, he doesn't have to pay the fine,
I
correct?
believe that the board had made a motion that if he complied with those last two items, that they would waive the fee.
Okay, so we have to waive the fee right now then, right? You need a motion on that?
We don't have to do
It's waived.
It's already been waived.
Oh, okay.
It's completed, so it's
Okay.
done. Okay.
Mr. Irvin, you're good?
Thank you, guys. God bless.
Thank you. Thank
For
you.
coming.
Okay. New business.
We have case number 2022-1626. Mr. Zaloro Johnson is appealing the first administrative penalty in the amount of $100 for 1503 Harrison Street, Sandusky, Ohio, parcel number 58-01558-000.
On the board.
No signal.
They're trying to get it to come up on the TV screen. It's not coming up. This is it right here.
Okay, yeah.
That was in our package.
This happened on Monday with the commission meeting. They had no meeting.
Again, Ron Snyder,
Here it is.
investigator or inspector for the City of Sandusky Code Compliance Office, concerning the property at 1503 Harrison Street and parcel indicated by Mrs. Parker. So on August 30th of 2022, I was made aware by a citizen about a dilapidated or deteriorating carport at the intersection of Harrison and Seneca Streets. So on that following day, I responded to the said area and found that the residence in question was 1503 Harrison. Besides the carport, there were a number of other violations of the Environmental Housing Code. First thing basically noted here was the windowsills on the south side of the residence showed signs of water damage. Basically, you can see in these two areas here where the sill is almost completely deteriorated and gone from under that window. Another area was the roof on the attached carport on the west side was falling in, dilapidated or deteriorated. The circles there basically just indicate that you can tell where the The trough or the gutter there in that right photo is drooping. The windows are missing from the window there. You can see where the roof is starting to sag.
Oh, I have a quick question. So
Yes, ma'am.
the roof that we're looking at in those pictures, this is of the carport?
This is a carport, yes, ma'am, to the west side of the structure,
Okay, gotcha.
or west side of the residence.
Okay.
Checking further, found that the residence was absent of gutters and downspouts. The existing gutter on the carport basically was sagging, or it was pulled away. It was just kind of hanging there away from the fascia. Then there was a large piece of aluminum to the west side there that also was just, had become unattached and was not in place. Another area which would be to the west side or the northwest corner of the residence there is where the vinyl siding is pulling away from the J channel. The fascia areas on the residence and the carport have flaking and cracking paint. This area right in there is, it's just a lack of attention over a period of time. And then we have a smaller area right in there that's the same. We've got exposed wood, and if that's not covered, we're just going to get continuation of deteriorating or rotting wood. As a result of my findings, I went ahead and wrote up a notice and order of violations and sent that to the property owner, which is Mr. Johnson, and there's a copy of the certified and certificate of mailing. So on September 7th of 2022, Mr. Johnson came to the code office. He was understanding of the write-up, was not stable financially and presented paperwork for Great Lakes Community Action Partnership, or what's known as the Erie County Community Housing Impact Preservation, or CHIP. These are just samples that he had given me in regards to pamphlets for that organization that can help members of the community.
So when he
Sorry.
presented this information, excuse me, I'm sorry, so, when he presented it, is he saying that they were going to do work, or he was?
He was applying for it.
Applying.
So at that point, so. Oh my gosh, sorry. He claimed to have previously filed, however, there was no record of the same due to COVID. So he had applied for assistance from this program prior to our interaction, but due to complications of COVID, they didn't show any records of that. Mr. Johnson was told that due to this, his application may be able to be expedited upon his filing, but he would now have to wait for the application to be sent to him so the process can be started. So we were into kind of a delay on this process, which, okay, and I was willing to work with. Mr. Johnson was waiting the said application to be accepted, and that was as of October 4th of 2022. Due to that, I granted him a courtesy extension, and we pushed him out. October 5th, correspondence sent to reflect the aforementioned, and there's the copy of the extension along with mail. So now November 4th, 2002 would have been an inspection date. There had been no change. Nothing done, basically. Before any action was taken, a text message was sent from Mr. Johnson concerning the status on his property, and that would have been on Friday, 11/4/2023 at 13:50 hours, or at 10 minutes till 2. He replied he had gotten the paperwork regarding the same and would be going to the office and have a conversation. So, copy of that said text message is in your packet. On November 4th, continuing, I responded back that today was an inspection day and that I needed something to show the reasoning for the delay. Basically, I was asking for something that was tangible, something I could hold in my hand, documentation from that organization. Responded back that he got the paperwork, that he had qualified and would bring it to the office. Let me go back here. That was November 15th. November 28th, he still had not brought or emailed any of that information back to me, as he had indicated on the 15th of November. I again sent him a text message at 08:37 hours on that date, advising that he hadn't brought me the documentation. However, he had not. This needed to be done ASAP to avoid administrative penalties. November 28th continued. He apologized and advised he would bring the same in today, which November 28th, 2022. Came in the Code Compliance Office with the said document. This document was, again, from that organization, or the CHIP organization, advising of his eligibility. So with that in hand, and the fact that we were into November, late November, I went ahead and granted him another courtesy, the fact of the winter lake condition. So that letter went out on 12/8 of 2022. So he was pushed out basically until April 13th of 2023. Upon conducting that inspection, there was no change. Basically no work done. Again, the text message was sent and asking for an update at 12:09 hours on that date. Replied and apologized, claiming he had filled out the additional paperwork. Since it had been over 6 months, it had to be refiled, but would not lose his placement. Responded back, asking Mr. Johnson when he filled out this paperwork. He responded back 1634 that he had to send CHIP utility bills, and he would know something once CHIP got the paperwork. These are copies of those text messages that he and I exchanged, and those are in your packet. On April 13th, I contacted the Great Lakes Community Action Partnership, or CHIP, via public service, to see what the status was on Mr. Johnson's request. I was transferred to a supervisor who was not in. I left a message, and I have yet to this day to be contacted by that organization. April 14th, 2023, he was given the benefit of the doubt. Basically, his timeline was extended out to May 18th. Courtesy notification letter sent out, and there's the mail that was sent. As of May 18th, no change, no work done. Number of variables were considered. One, the date the property was initially written up. If you refer back, that would have been August of last year. And no work done at all. No attempt at this point, up to this point, to even remove some of the fallen or falling debris from that. Remove some of the things from the carport that would, just organize it to the point of a timeline to where we could get some financial help to start to reconstruct it. And it was determined at that point that an administrative penalty would be assessed. So on May 18th, we can see here by these photos that the same issues exist that existed on my initial inspection in August of 2022. We have no gutters or spouts on the residence. The carport still looks the same as of May 18th as it did in the original photos. We still have the gutter hanging. We still have the collapsing roof, deteriorating wood, and so forth. And we still have issues in regards to that exterior surface, even away from the carport. Again, the decision was made to go ahead and assess Mr. Johnson with an administrative penalty. I had back and we spoke concerning that administrative penalty on May 31st of this year. He was informed that he had the option to appeal the administrative penalty should he wish to do so, and on June 1st, he did file for the appeal and subsequently brings us in front of you this evening. Is there any questions? Yes, ma'am.
I have two questions. You said you called the CHIP organization to see where this was.
Ma'am.
Would CHIP really talk to you about this because you're not the property owner?
Well, I don't know. They never bothered to call me back to even convey to me whether they could, if there was like a confidentiality issue there or anything of that nature. They just never
Yeah, that's
bothered to call
probably
me
why they
back.
didn't call you back.
And that's possible.
Okay, and the second thing is, in your opinion, is there something there that Mr. Johnson could have cleaned up, at least to show some effort he was putting his best foot forward on this?
I do. The large piece of aluminum that was attached to the backside that was hanging free away from the structure, that could have been removed so that we didn't have an issue, high winds or anything of that nature. The gutter that was hanging on that, the carport could have been removed. That would have taken nothing away from anything that we had going. It would have just made sense, so it's not setting and blowing. Some of the top of the carport from the photos that were able to be taken from public access way, right? It was unknown what that surface was. So an attempt to start to removing these things, right, could have been done.
But nothing has been done.
As of right now, there's the photos that I handed to you guys in the packet for this evening. There has been something done as of today, and I think that is ongoing. Mr. Johnson may be able to allude to a little more in depth on when that started. I just know that as of the time of the appeal, everything was hands off until it was brought before the board. So as far as the date, that if you look at the recent photos, you can tell that there's newer 4x4s that have been placed. But when those were actually installed, I don't have a date for you. So an attempt is being made at this point in time. As of the time of the administrative penalty, nothing had been done, no.
Mr. Johnson is here.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi. Come to the podium, please. State your name for the record once you get there.
My name is Zalor Johnson,
And your current address is?
1503 Harrison Street, Sandusky, Ohio.
So I have a couple questions for you, Mr. Johnson, not being difficult. I guess my biggest question is, I understand that they have these programs that help, but you didn't have a backup plan B? See, I'm an ABC type person, so if I apply at A, I'm gonna have to figure out, if I don't get approved from A, how can B or C help me?
But that's what the problem was. They said I was approved right before the pandemic. They told me to sign up again and I would still be in the program. I signed up again. I showed him all the paperwork and I sent it in again. I call up there and they said they'll get back with me. I haven't, just like him, I haven't even had a return phone call yet to this day from them guys. And they said I was approved.
Okay, well, I guess, again.
And then after that, after he told me that they were going to find me, my cousin and I went out there. We just tore it. If you see where I tore it all down, and every month I've been trying to get a little bit of money together just to put something up until I get it done.
And when did this start? That you and your cousin, because again, like this started August 31st of 2022, and we're about to hit August 31st here in about the next 2 months, month and a half.
Right, I say probably by the end of next month, I'll have it pretty much together, the carport part.
But when did you start taking this down? Because with the timeline, he contacted you here, he did something in May, he did this, and,
The day after him and I talked, I told him I told him I was gonna get something done to it. And when I came down here, well, I don't know what day it was when I filed for the
appeal, he
The
said
appeal.
it's June 1st.
Yeah, right after that, I started tearing it down because I wanted to prove that I can get something done in there.
I have a question. So you don't have a background in construction or anything like that, right?
No, not really.
Were you told what parts you could take down yourself by anybody? How did you know what to take down?
No, I just took it all the rotten stuff out of there.
Okay, so.
Why, did I do something wrong again?
No, so normally people wouldn't know where to begin on that unless they had a background. So that's why I was asking. So,
I have a question for you. In regards to CHIP, you seem to be waiting for them to contact you. You need to be aggressive and contact them to, you, at least they owe you to tell you how that's progressing along.
Ma'am, I mean, I called, after I got that first notice, I was calling like twice a week. And the lady would say, well, your paperwork's still being processed. And when I talked to the one lady, she said, oh yeah, you've been approved. And then it was nothing after that. When I called, there's no callbacks. They don't tell you when, what's gonna happen, or nothing. She said they gotta go in order of what they come by. And she said, when they get to your name, you'll know it.
Okay, are you keeping logs on when you called them and who you talked to?
No.
You don't know who you talked to?
No, I don't, ma'am.
Well, this is my question, not being funny again either, but, like when you called them, I'm just looking at, you started June 1st to take down some stuff. You could have done June 1st of 2022 and started taking down something. And then with all the contacts that you seem to have been making with the CHIP group, even though you had not heard from them, that's when I would have started doing something as well. So I would have started trying to be proactive instead of
Well, when I
being
talked,
reactive.
okay, when I talked to the lady, I talked to her, I said, because I told her my roof is whatever that word is, coming down and it's tearing up. And I said, what should I do? And she said, well, you'll have to wait for the contractor to get a hold of you. That's what I thought, if I was waiting on them guys, I would be granted or whatever, and they still haven't done nothing. Got a hold of me, said boo-hoo or whatever. All they done, the last time I talked to them people was when the lady told me I was approved. And after that, they said, you're in line. She said, they do so many a year. And she said, I don't know where they're at. And that's where they left me.
Well, yeah, most of those programs, they get a certain dollar amount. And once they have spent that dollar amount, if they spend it on the first 5 and there's 15 on the program, then that means the other 10 are just gonna have to wait till more monies are granted to them. So, I mean, I'm not, knocking anything that you're saying. I just felt like, well, and that's just me, I feel like you could have done more before today's date.
You're right, but I was waiting. She told me to wait on the contractor. When someone tells you to wait on a contractor, I was waiting on them.
Then I would have been asking, who is the contractor, how soon?
She didn't know. This is what I was going through with these people. They wouldn't tell me nothing. She would say, all I can tell you is you were approved. I don't know where you're at in line. The contractor will get a hold of you. That's all she said. And that was the end of discussion. And I left it at that until he got a hold of me and I said, I'll try to get something done.
Yeah, I just have one question. We've been talking about CHIP. They have scope of work of things they're going to do that you submitted, that they approved.
Right.
Does that scope of work take care of all the deficiencies? Or
What you mean? What I signed up for? I signed up for a new roof.
Yeah, exactly.
They do roof siding, furnaces. I mean, they do it all. Windows. That's what the lady told me at first. And when I was filling out the paperwork, she said, "Make sure you tell us what you want done in your house." And I told her what I needed done, and she said I was granted that. And the contractor would get a hold of me. And after that, I haven't heard nothing.
So it's your belief that everything that was identified by the inspector
Right.
here would be covered by the CHIP scope of work?
Right.
Yeah.
Is CHIP going to cover 100% or do you have to do a match?
No, they were going to fix it all. They came in there. They came in my house before. They put a new furnace and a new water heater in my home. They didn't charge me nothing. And they put 2 doors up.
How long did it take when they put your new furnace in and other things they did for you? How long did, by the time you qualified, until they came in and actually did the work?
The lady at the CAC building signed me up. It was in the wintertime, and I say that the following summer, they came in there, they had it done. Within 3 months, they had my house all together. And this time, I haven't heard nothing from them people.
Did you ever think about maybe getting a hold of the manager of the CHIP program and?
They will not, I'm telling you, ma'am, they will stonewall you on that part, because I asked, she said, all I know is you're qualified. The contractors, if you're gonna get your stuff done, they'll contact you, and that's it. That's all they'll tell you.
Hold on for 1 second. Let Gary ask a question.
Excuse me. Back in September 7th of 2022, when you came to the code office, you had apparently indicated that your finances weren't stable. You were in
I'm on Social Security. I get a check every month, and it's limited.
limited. Okay. So under those limited finances, it appears to me that you were relying on CHIP to
Right.
step in and make the repairs, regardless.
Right, I thought they were gonna help me out
Okay.
like they did last time.
And at this point, they haven't.
No,
And there's no guarantee that they're going to.
no. That's
You're
why-
still left with the problem.
That's
And
why I'm
you
doing it.
recognize that the problem is yours because now, right before this hearing, you've made some changes. You've made some changes.
Yes.
Okay? That is really the intent of the administrative penalty, to help move you along in the event that your primary objective, CHIP, falls through. If Plan A falls through, you need to go to Plan B. And Plan B in this case is taking the work on yourself, if you have to resolve this, because it can't go on forever.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Because next year I'm signing up for you guys' program where the city helps out, they pay like 50% or whatever it is to get your house fixed up. I'm even trying to get that signed up for that one to see how much I could get in the bank. The lady told me I could take a loan out on my home, just to where I could get financing enough to get something started.
And unfortunately, the need is great amongst the entire city. People who are in dire need of getting help, we understand that, but unfortunately, there is limited funding available, and I don't know how these projects are assessed or viewed and awarded. I have no idea. Not part of our involvement. The only thing I'm saying is that you were under the impression that you were on the list, you were okay to go, but you're not hearing anything. That, to me, tells me that maybe you're not on the list. Don't know. But that would be up to you to communicate with CHIP and find out what's going on.
Right, I have communicated with them a few times, and the lady tells me I'm approved.
And
That's what she tells me, and that's it.
When you are in contact with these folks, you need to document the fact that you have done this, okay? Provide some documentation.
How do I document it on my part? This is what you
You
guys.
get a name of who you're talking to.
Yeah.
Okay,
Get a 50-cent notebook, put down date, such and such, time, such and such, talk to this person. I mean, I'm a fanatic like that, because I want to know who I talk to.
I'm
because I want-
dyslexic, so you're talking
But
to the.
I get it. Well, you know what? You can do a recording. You make the little pocket talking to that, give you dates and times. I mean, there are different things that can be done.
Right.
The
I
only thing that we're just saying right now is that for me, this just has taken way too much as far as over a whole year, which something should have been done before June 1st. That's just my take on it. But I am going to ask the board members, is there anything else that anyone wants to say what are we doing with this? The bottom line, you're here to appeal the administrative penalty, which is $100. So,
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you have, do you know an approximate number of times you've contacted SHIP? If you could just give a number.
Over 20 times.
Over
man.
20 times.
Over, and I mean over 20.
Yeah, so even if he doesn't have the dates and the times, I mean, that's a lot. So I think COVID backed a lot of these programs up. So he filed before COVID, so he knew he had a problem. But over 20 times to contact SHIP, I think he's making a good effort. And taking the stuff off of his house, I mean, a lot of us I don't know how he knew what to remove without being told by a contractor. So somebody should be telling him what he can do to get this done. I think that's happening now, so.
Well, I think the city contributes to that through just recently CDBG funds. And if Chip has fallen down on the job, maybe that should be reported to the city.
well, even if they've fallen down on the funds, we're not here to dispute that. The only thing I'm gonna say with this is, what Lisa's saying is that, he didn't know. But as many times as he has been in contact with code enforcement, he could have even asked there, where should I start from? Can you give me some suggestions? I've never known code enforcement not to assist if you reach out to them. So that's just my only take on all of this. But again, I'm gonna wheel us back in. What,
I have a question for our inspector. So he's making an effort to take care of some things. Short of consulting a contractor or hiring a contractor, I don't know if it's in your scope to hire a contractor. What improvements, what additional improvements can he make to his property to bring about a satisfactory conclusion on your part?
Well, I don't think that there's going to be a conclusion for quite a while. There's going to need to be some sort of monetary assistance involved in this if he can't take care of it himself. We're looking at gutters, we're looking at probably new windows on that south side, we're looking at downspouts. We're looking at a number of things, not just alone with the carport. The carport, to me, in my opinion, would be the least of my concerns at this point in time, because it's really, there is a slingshot, a high dollar recreational vehicle that goes in there. That can be parked on the street as well as anything else and stored during the wintertime. In my opinion, that would be secondary to some of the primary issues that he has. So if we have bad windows on that south side, now we're going to have to worry, is there interior water damage as a result of that? Is he going to get leaking during the wintertime, during winds? Right? What are we going to do with the foundation? Eventually, that's going to start to deteriorate. That residence, you can tell that it hasn't had gutters and spouts on it for quite a while. So to me, I would look at it, if I was him, I would look at where's the priority scale of what was on that initial list. To me, the carport would not be. The carport drew the initial attention to it, but it's not what I would be focusing on right at this moment in time. Another thing to factor in is this is a process we've already looked at. We're almost into a year.
Yeah.
Right? Short of another option rolling around, we're going to just be like, what's the end result? If I give him an additional 30 days or an additional 60 days, right, we might show some progress, but once the carport's done, okay, what are we doing about the gutters, downspouts, windows, things of this nature? I mean, I'm not opposed to that. If he can show progress, I don't have an issue with working with him on timelines. But I'm just wondering if we're going to get to a stagnant point or a lull in this process until we're waiting for some other entity to come in and financially back it, so.
Well, I'm afraid we're at the stagnant point at this time, because you're saying you don't have any funding available to make these repairs, which.
No, I've been making the repairs slowly. Every month I get, on the first, I'm gonna buy like, 1, 2, 3, 4 more 2x4s and, facial plating for the carport. You know, I've been taking a little bit out of my, Social Security check just to get something done. where I can prove that I'm doing something. Like he said, after I get the carport done, I'll take something out of that money out of my check a month. I'll buy a gutter, one gutter or something at a time. I'll get things done, but I just don't have all the money to get it done all at once.
Did you mention something about that they said you qualified for a bank loan?
Yeah, my bank,
I mean, they do home improvements, I'm just asking, so.
I asked the girl down at Sylvester Bank because I wanted to sign up for that 50% or whatever that program is next year for the house. If you put so much into your house, the city of Sandusky will give you something back on it. And she said, yeah, if you could qualify for that, she could go in there and be able to grant me some kind of loan for something.
That's pending your approval for the beautification grant?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question for Mr. Rutger. I know these grants that the city has, we did a new plan on that because the money disappears in 2 or 3 months of the first of the year, okay? So we were supposed to hold out, I think, $50,000 for cases like this. Is that money all gone already?
So the last report I got from Debbie Eversole, of that 50,000, 35,000 was left. But that report I got from her was probably 2 or 3 months ago. So I'd have to reach out to Debbie to see if there's any remaining funds in the account.
There is, or there is?
No. I would have to reach out to Debbie
Oh.
to see what remaining funds are left in the account. Approximately 2.5 months ago, out of that 50,000, 35,000 was left.
So, bringing y'all back. What are we going to do? We're here for administrative penalty.
I'll make a motion that we deny the appeal.
They got a motion, can I get a second?
And I'm going to tell you why I deny that appeal, because he's not communicating with the city very well. He waits until people approach him. He's not being really aggressive enough. And like I said, in your position, I would be keeping logs, because this looks like this is going to be the long haul of this from the CHIP program. So I don't know if they have a timeline, or they can't tell you when they can get back to you. I mean, that would frustrate me. But for the fact that you waited until you were fined before you started fixing up the place again, and it's been almost 2 years.
Right, but ma'am, I was waiting on that program that you just talked about. I called over 20 times. They told me to wait on a contractor. I told him that. They told me to wait on the contractor to get a hold of me. If someone tells you to wait on something, I was abiding by what they told me. Wait on the contractor to contact me. I wasn't putting the city off. I was putting it off because they told me to wait on somebody else to come in that they were going to have fix it, because they fixed my house before. I didn't go through this like the first time I went through this. And this time I've been pushed back, pushed around and everything. I mean,
I think
I didn't want to get something started. Lady, I called over 20 times.
I think CHIP should have given you something in writing so you could bring it to the city. You should have said something to the lady that you were talking to. Look, I'm in a bad situation here. I need some documentation from you that you told me to wait on the contractor. But then I hear Dana saying, okay, this has been 2 years now. We're playing around with this. There's no plan B, because are you just relying on your Social Security check? Is that the only? Okay. Are you behind in your taxes, sir?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I'm $83 ahead. Thank you.
Okay.
It's just 1 year. Just 1 year.
Pardon?
Just 1 year.
Okay,
Okay, I'm making
all
the motion.
discussion,
that-
we have a motion. Your motion is to deny the appeal or administrative penalty. So, can I get a second? What are you doing? Okay, there's no second, so it has died. My suggestion to you, Mr. Johnson, I mean, you've been kind of fortunate today because they did not vote to uphold the administrative penalty of $100. I will tell you, and this is just me giving you some advice, I would reverse the way that you're doing this. You mentioned that you're gonna buy for the carport and then buy for the gutters. As the code appliance officer just stated, you should try to work more on the house. So I would try to buy the gutter and everything else for the house. The carport is, what he is saying is second nature. You need to work on the other stuff first. If I was you, I would, contact code enforcement, try to get a list of what I can do, and see if they can give you some suggestions. But like I said, you're very lucky today because the motion died for lack of a second.
You're still going to need a motion to uphold.
Yeah, you still
Or
need that
grant.
motion.
So I need a motion to uphold that, that we're not doing the,
So you're up, if you're granting the appeal, you're still going to need a motion, and if there's any stipulations you're going to add on to the
Okay.
granting of that appeal, that
I
would
need
need to
a
be stated in the motion.
To grant the appeal.
I'll make a motion to grant the appeal, to temporarily grant the appeal. Temporarily, understand that. We need to reset this for a very brief period of time to get some understanding from Chip and find out where this is going. Once and for all, someone needs to step in and take care of this.
There was a question about notification from the program as far as his eligibility was concerned.
Right.
Page 22 of your packet, there is a letter that he
Did it
did
have a date on
receive.
there? I was
November
trying-
7th of 2022.
Oh, that,
And,
okay.
and then he had to resubmit stuff
Yep.
6 months later, which he did.
Well, I'm gonna go along and second Mr. Gary's, motion, but I'm gonna add my stipulation. We have another meeting in April, it's August. We need I'm giving him 60 days for you to get us back the information regarding, who you talked to, have him write you a letter, email you something, print it off, whatever you need to do at this point. I'm not knocking that you have issues with certain things, but, just like you wrote out enough stuff here to appeal, you understand what's going on. So I'm just gonna keep it real
I didn't,
with you.
I had somebody else write it for me.
But again,
You're right.
you still put it together. Have somebody assist you in that way for everything else. All I'm saying to you is, you have until our August meeting to provide us with the information that I'm asking for at this time. That's the chip person, all of that, we need to see that. Because just like we did not grant the appeal, we can always put you back on to, follow through with the appeal. So again, we're giving you the benefit of the doubt. We're trying to work with you.
Okay.
And like I said, I will stay in contact with code enforcement because we will ask him to bring us documents and pictures of what's going on in
Okay.
August as well.
Okay.
So you don't want to see us no more than we want to see you. So we're gonna keep it real with you. Okay, so we have a motion. It's been moved and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No opposed?
Opposed?
Okay.
Madam Chairperson Gamblin,
Yes.
Mr. Gundelsberger.
Yes.
Mr. Matthews.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
No.
Mr. Sharrah.
Yes.
Okay.
I thank you. Can I get a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye.